Caitlin Clark hasn't performed since July 15th. You've noticed? Caitlin Clark sustained this injury along with a minor bone bruise to her left ankle. Officially, the Caitlin Clark injury case is a muddle since not only is there more confusion, rather than greater clarity, alongside the injured crew is Caitlin Clark. She's with the injured crew over here. She was stepped on by her coach. Ankle. No, dude, this season was cursed. It's a cursed season. The Indiana Fever are facing a challenge, naturally. When we learned that Caitlin Clark had sustained yet another injury, they got themselves into a serious predicament. Following a severe accident, Caitlin Clark contracted Indiana Fever. Her time has dissolved into bewilderment, annoyance, and sadness. It was on August 7th that Caitlin Clark had a minor bone bruise on her left ankle. Caitlin has been eagerly anticipated by fans. Clark's appearance in court again. Will she return? Caitlin Clark hasn't performed since July 15th. Have you noticed? She was actually recovering from a groin injury. She sustained an injury to her ankle while recovering from a groin ailment. Caitlin Clark hasn't performed since July 15th. Have you noticed? She was actually recovering from a groin injury. She sustained an injury to her ankle while recovering from a groin ailment. Stephanie White, the coach of Indiana, expressed to reporters on Sunday her optimism that Clark will return before the regular season ends. But the reality of the uncoach is correct. That's what matters. You are unable to play and practice. Stephanie White, the coach of Indiana, expressed her optimism to reporters on Sunday that Clark will return before the regular season ends. In actuality, though, the coach is correct. It was then revealed that during her recuperation, Clark sustained a minor ankle injury. Did that make it harder for her to come back? One reporter said yes, while another said no. "See you soon, Cease," said Natasha Howard. But now it's like, wait and see. More details will be revealed soon. Discovered that during her recuperation, Clark sustained a minor ankle injury. Did that make it harder for her to come back? While one reporter says yes, another responds no. In the end, viewers want to know whether or not the biggest star of the Fever will return this season, and she hasn't done anything for 5 weeks. In the end, we need to learn a bit more. It's reasonable for fans to question if the Fever and the league's biggest player will make a comeback this season, but we don't need Caitlin Clark's detailed medical report. She has also been absent from action for 5 weeks, so there hasn't been a lack of patience. Alongside the injured crew is Caitlin Clark. That's not the best. She's with the injured athletes at the sidelines during practice. Additionally, many were unaware of her ankle ailment until it was revealed. That's not the best. That's not the best. She's with the injured athletes at the sidelines during practice. Additionally, we might be overanalyzing this. And to be completely honest, why are we having all these conspiracies? Something that many people say. Man, it turns out that we were unaware of her ankle injury. For example, we must consider that fans shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to find out if Caitlin Clark has an ankle injury. That's quite easy. It is necessary for us to go put on our Inspector Gadget hat and find this out. We were able to become detectives. We must strive to become detectives and figure out anything because the team isn't communicating. What the devil is going on? Given that they have lied to us about an injury, Caitlin Clark has apparently chosen up an injury to the ankle. As in, what's happening? We heard that Caitlin Clark had rolled her ankle out of the blue when Stephanie White said, "No update on Caitlin Clark." It appears that Caitlin Clark has now sustained an ankle injury, so I'm not sure what this is all about. As in, what's happening? Obviously, if you all agree, no update on Caitlin Clark, Stephanie White said. And then we heard, out of the blue, that she had rolled her ankle. We've heard that she has been suffering from an ankle injury for the past 2 weeks. Nothing. This is nothing more than a smokescreen. She suddenly suffered an ankle injury 2 weeks ago, and we haven't heard anything about it. Nothing has been heard. They were saying, yeah, Yeah, during this time it was, yeah, she's full court. She's gone. Back to full court sprinting in reference to the ankle injury that occurred 2 weeks ago. The most important information from the Indiana according to the report, Caitlin Clark sustained a minor bone bruise on her left ankle on August 7th. Caitlin Clark was injured on August 7th and has a minor bone bruise on her left ankle. After eagerly awaiting Caitlin Clark's comeback to the court, fans now learn that she has sustained yet another injury during her preparations. The most peculiar aspect of this is how this specific injury was reported, since it was only announced a few days ago. Many fans were unaware of this. Supporters have been eagerly awaiting Caitlin Clark's go back to court. This season, will she return? This season, when will she return? And the reporting has left many fans perplexed, such as what's really happening with Caitlin Clark? After learning that Caitlin Clark sustained yet another injury during that Phoenix Mercury game just 2 weeks ago. The Indiana Fever are in trouble. The Indiana Fever are in possession of Isu. When we learned that Caitlin Clark had sustained yet another injury during that Phoenix Mercury game just 2 weeks ago, they obviously had a serious problem. Do you recall the game against the Phoenix Mercury? When Stephanie White didn't try to motivate her team to play Dana Bonner, I was completely enamored with her. They were blown out. The only player that chose to attend was Sophie Cunningham. The Fever now appears very inept and unprofessional. Due to that fresh injury, yet another injury. It's a PR catastrophe the way this has been handled. That hurt, that hurt, the hurt, that hurt, another hurt. There is $1 billion corporation on the Indiana Fever Thayer Group. $1 billion, for crying out loud. You all appear very inept and unprofessional. Oh, it's a joke, the way this has been handled after learning about Caitlin Clark's ankle injury. The Indiana Fever lost optimism that she would make a comeback, because there was so much hype about her. The fan base is now confused and frustrated. Return. Rather, they are presented with yet another heartbreaking update. The fan base should have been informed. I would assume that your fan base has been declining for at least weeks. Have been eagerly awaiting Caitlin Clark's return for the past 2 weeks. I have a suspicion that the Indiana Fever are well aware of it and are aware of the reports that Caitlin Clark's most recent injury update may spell the end of her season. She was essential to the Fever's playoff run. But their prospects appear bleak without Clark. What was meant to be a year of development has become a nightmare of injuries and disappointments for the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark. She hurt her ankle while hopping in the old DeLorean and setting the date for August 7, 2025. Oh man. Oh man. Fortunately for us, however, 13 days after the Fever, the front office received some concerns concerning Caitlin Clark's injuries from the dark side. The Indiana Fever training staff is out there working on the knee, groin, and ankle while attempting to figure out, come on, Caitlin, why haven't we seen him yet? Come on, you're capable of anything. Injections and inflammatories, then setback after setback. Yet all they want is to get her back. He's out there with the training crew for the Indiana Fever. He's trying to figure out, come on, Caitlin, come on, you can do it while working on the knee, groin, and ankle. Return to anyone. Inflammatory conditions, we can help. Future health, we're out. Shots, we're in. A spokeswoman for Fever stated that there was no estimated time of return to play following a bone bruise in her left ankle. They emphasized that the same amount of time must be allowed for Caitlin to recover completely. She puts a lot of effort into doing that every day. But supporters are perplexed by the uneven reporting. Scott Agnes was the first to disclose that Caitlin Clark had sustained a very minor bone bruise in her left ankle on August 7th. According to sources, she claimed sans ankle issue. She would still be out recovering from her groin. The major change I've noticed is the fact that her injured ankle does not impact her return schedule. The shift in tone and delivery from Let's wait and maybe hope so too. Optimism of Clark being back on the floor makes people wonder if her ankle issue has actually caused a delay in her comeback. The main change I've noticed is the optimism and way of thinking about Clark getting back on the floor as opposed to, well, let's wait and I don't know, maybe hope. This changes the tone of the message, whether you want to call it that. Additionally, according to what reporters publicly shared, Caitlin Clark had an ankle issue that we were unaware of. If she rolls her ankle, it should be known right away. This concealment is the reason why people no longer trust the reporting. Fans are paying to see her. And something so significant shouldn't take 2 weeks to surface. Many individuals are thinking, oh, why are we having all these conspiracies? Man, it turns out that we were unaware of her ankle injury. Nothing about this is natural, so we have to go and put on our Inspector Gadget hat and figure this out. We have to get it into consideration. We had the opportunity to try our hand at becoming investigators and deciphering anything because, whatever the reason for not hearing from the team, the fact that what the devil is going on since they lied about an injury? Caitlin Clark was listed as questionable on July 15th after suffering an injury around July 14th. And then, in late August, we learn of a random ankle injury from she was hurt today. And I don't understand why the timing is off and the release. Seems more like a diversion than a revelation. Know the precise date. But let's assume that she was hurt on July 14th, so it was around that time. She was marked as doubtful on July 15th. The Fever have a billion-dollar star. But the way they've treated Caitlin, and now we're hearing about a random injury that happened 2 weeks ago. What's going on? Because the August 7th ankle report was delayed by 2 weeks, fans are now unsure of what to believe. And Clark's ailment is being characterized as a joke, which is unprofessional. The Indiana Fevers are a group of clowns and bozos. But they also have a billion-dollar organization on their squad. The way this has been handled makes you guys appear utterly inept and unprofessional. Oh, it's a joke. Look, Dot and look. They are unable to discuss conspiracy theories. You are participating in their creation because you will not be forthright and truthful. When news broke that Caitlin Clark had suffered an ankle injury on August 7th, yet was concealed until much later, shocking everyone. Supporters believe they are being deceived. And there is already conjecture that the setback might have altered her whole return schedule. You have people purchasing tickets for the future, and I'm sure they're paying more than face value. Right? Done this all year long. Tickets today. We learned that Caitlin Clark suffered another injury 13 days ago, over 2 weeks ago. I was shocked to see this. Fans were incensed and perplexed by the Indiana Fever's failure to disclose Caitlin Clark's bone bruise until weeks after it was proven. Particularly since her absence is directly related to the team's probables. Whatever. You want to call them Indiana Fever reporters? Beat writers, puppets, or whatever, are now reporting an ankle injury that occurred on August 7th. The concealment just serves to raise questions about her actual condition. If Caitlin Clark had injured herself or tweaked something about 2 weeks ago, you would think we would have heard about it by now, given she is the most covered athlete the WNBA has ever seen. Indeed. The Fever are barely playing after losing 4 guards, including Sophie Cunningham, who is out for the season, and Caitlin Clark, retaining a postseason berth. The team is frantically attempting to maintain momentum in the absence of its key player. This Indiana Fever has been the subject of much discussion. Now, remember, the Indiana Fever are currently placed 6th in the WNBA and are attempting to qualify for the playoffs for the 2nd consecutive year. But they have a lot of injuries, considering that they have lost 4 guards, including Sophie Cunningham, who is out for the season. Caitlin Clark has been on the sidelines supporting her team for more than a month. And when one of the coaches stepped on Caitlin's foot, she reacted strongly, yanking up her foot in agony right away. The fans who were watching thought this was just another strange setback. What had happened? We couldn't see the lower half of this camera, but as you can see, Caitlin Clark was cheering for her team from the sidelines when one of the coaches stepped what we believe to be her foot.angle, but she bumps into something. The most significant change is that the optimism fades into a state of waiting and seeing. And then all of a sudden, Clark is being rebuilt. You hear rumors about some of these things, but you don't know them. Step by step, even an ankle tweak along that procedure derails everything. Even the smallest setback is costly now. Understand precisely what's happening. But once more, the biggest change I've noticed is the mindset and optimism that Clark will be back on the floor as opposed to, well, let's wait. And, I don't know. Maybe. Hope so. Fans simply want to see Caitlin Clark back on the court at this point. So there's a change in tone, attitude, messaging, tea, leave, reading, whatever you want to call it. It feels like a cursed season to many. And let's face it, fans are just eager to see Caitlin back on the floor at this point. The fact that she is stuck with a wounded crew around her ankle has only made things more frustrating. She's in a nice mood, which is the only thing that matters. I believe that she wouldn't be in a good mood if Caitlin Clark had officially finished the season, however. This is the final genuine session the Fever will have because her coach stepped on her ankle, which is a cursed ailment this season that is actually made worse by a coach stepping on it. Feels like every time Clark attempts to move forward, something strange throws her back again. Her coach trod on her ankle. No guy? That's how awful things have gotten. This season is cursed. For example, when did Chris Finch blow out his patella or something? It's not the coach's fault. Encountering him throughout the game on the sidelines. It's as if this season is doomed, like a coach is causing an injury to worsen stepping on it. They can't ignore conspiracy theories at this point because everything seems worse. A coach hurting the team's biggest star by accident simply serves to reinforce the idea that this is a terrible season for the O. It's a joke, Fever, and they're a bunch of clowns, a bunch of bozos. The way this has been handled makes you guys look very inept and unprofessional. Fans deemed it ridiculous when the video of a coach standing on Clark's wounded foot went viral on social media. Losing a star to injury is uncommon enough, but having a coach contribute to making it worse made this season appear like a joke. Today we learned that Caitlin Clark suffered another injury about 2 weeks ago. To be exact, I was shocked to see this. Now that all bets are off, I've tried to stand back and not do the Indiana Fever because they're complacent and complicit, trying to hide something, and so on. Caitlin Clark was supposed to be the one with the fever, but her injuries, delays, and strange mishaps have left the team without answers. And every update feels like another setback. Some people now refer to this season as the season from hell. Rude, just A. There's so much fishiness going on in this league, and you just smell around a little bit. What were the odds that the Indiana Fever would miss the playoffs before this season, with all these additional additions? You can see what the payout would be for someone who bet on the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark as their head coach. What would the payment be if they unexpectedly missed the playoffs? The likelihood that Caitlin will return to the court this season is decreasing with each day that passes. Did she experience a setback? Come on, Caitlin. Come back to anyone or anything. I don't think she'll be back this season. I think she's done. Maybe not with this ankle stuff. When a celebrity like Clark gets to the point where things are strange, people will start asking, did she have a setback? Kay, working on the groin, working on the ankle, trying to find out. She is still not participating in team practices. So the likelihood that we will see her return to the court is decreasing every day. It's just getting absurd. Come on, Caitlin, give it your best go. Due to a number of these ailments, I don't believe she will return this season. This has become a horrible season for the Fever. And while Clark's season may be finished, the tale isn't. I believe she's done after each update. And remember to like, subscribe, and share to continue the discussion.